What in the world was that, Mr. Sullivan? The Avalanche had this thing relatively in hand, and then the last minute of the third, they give up 2 goals and blow this thing to the Nashville Predators 4-3. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us over on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Definitely subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below. And when you do, you chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, become one of our special insiders, and have your thoughts and comments read on air like we will do towards the end of the episode on this latest game. All right, man, let's dive into this because it was not the greatest start to the game for the Avalanche. I thought this seems to be their MO right now, is games don't start all that well for them. And then as the game goes on, they start to just find their footing and find their game and start playing, better. I don't think this better was not the better that you saw as the game went on against Dallas, but this better was better. And they, again, were pretty much in command. But, this is the sport of hockey where you're, even as well as you're playing, all it takes is one screw up to turn the tide, and the Avs had multiple of them. And when you give up 3 goals in the final minutes of periods, you gave up 1 in the first period in the last minute, and then you give up 2 in the third to give up the lead, as in the Predators tied it, and then seconds later they do it again. You think you're heading into overtime, and you come away with nothing. You think you're getting 2 points, and then you kind of said, like, okay, well, at least we'll get 1. Let's see what happens in overtime, and then you walk away with 0. This one hurts.
It hurts, but also this is kind of synonymous for the Avalanche. It's a learning experience. This Avalanche team, we're fresh off the heels of the incredible 6 unanswered goals against Dallas, a superior team in the Central, still sitting up top of the Central right now. They learned how to not give up like they did against Vegas. They're learning. You're watching this team learn. You saw the spark in the Dallas game, in this Nashville game. Honestly, let's all do this wonderful favor right now. Everybody pretend like those last 22 seconds did not happen. The Avalanche did enough. They were doing enough. It wasn't a great start. You were getting goals from depth, and Cogs looked great. Up until that point, they did enough.
Exactly.
And then they pull the goalie and take a breath. And like you mentioned, you go from 2 points, think you're walking out in Nashville, Smashville, Trashville, depending on who you're asking. You're walking out with 2 points to maybe an overtime loss, to honestly, first star of the week, Cale Makar, making one little lapse of judgment, and that being the turning point of the game. So it's up until that point, 59 minutes of good enough play to walk out with 2 points. And then it comes down to the tie and giving the puck away, to losing the game and going to Vancouver, the Vancouver matchup, with nothing.
I mean, I know emotions are high, immediately after a game, and a lot of comments you see online from the fan base is like annoyance and frustration and anger, but you were 50 seconds away from not feeling that way.
Exactly.
Right. So and so you kind of have to, okay, let those emotions play through, and then you're still gonna be mad. Just the way that this happened, you're not going to see this again for the rest of this season. I'm pretty confident in saying, like, you're not going to see a game end like this for the rest of this season, and maybe even next season, and maybe even this season. Like, this doesn't happen. And the fact that you're on the bad side of this is what just makes all of this like raw emotion come out, and a lot of it is kind of unfounded. The Avalanche did not play a perfect game. They played a well enough game to win this thing, and they were fighting it. They were like they were fighting everything, and first period was just kind of like a very like dull, boring, like just not really into it period. But they got going. Now again,
Mhm.
this was not a perfect game. The zone exits were atrocious in this
Yes.
game, all throughout. More turnovers in the defensive end, but again, they're battling that. They're battling it, and they did enough to take a lead into the third, into the final minute. So yes, while it's a loss and it's a horrible loss, big picture, again, it's a road game, never easy. You're even though the Predators are not that good of a team right now, you did enough to win that game, and you could play that last minute 100 times, and what happened would probably never happen again.
You
And
know,
it's Cale Makar. Like, you go back to the Cale Makar play, and I mean, God forbid, like the dude is allowed a mulligan here, right? I mean,
yeah.
he's done so much for this team and for himself. It was just an odd play. The puck just seemed to like pop off his stick. I think he was trying to collect it, and we're recording minutes after the game is over. I only watched it a couple times. It just looked like a weird play, something that he's done tens of thousands of times. And this is the 0.0001% time that it didn't go the way that's supposed to go for him. And it ends up in an Avalanche goal. It's going
And
to happen.
I like how you said this will never happen again, but this is the same barn the Avalanche occurred the too many men on the ice and lost their perfect month.
Well, I'm talking
Like,
about 2 goals in the last
yeah,
minute.
yeah,
See,
it's
like,
like
that's what
the
I'm talking about.
crazy losses
Weird stuff happens here.
in Nashville. Just stay away
Yeah.
from Nashville. Broken water mains, like the whole it's just
Yeah.
a weird place to go. But no, it's one of those that, and let's give credit to Nashville.
Sure.
We're talking the Avalanche had their spark in the Dallas game, did what they needed to do for 55 minutes of this game. Nashville did what they needed to do at the end of the game. They could have rolled up. They're not having a great season.
No.
Let's be real here. It's one of those that if you walk out of there losing by a goal, it's a moral victory. Build off this. They kept pushing. The Avalanche took their foot off the gas just a tiny
Mm,
amount, and that's
yeah.
enough for Nashville for their effort that they were putting into it to turn that game completely around.
I
And
don't know if I don't know if the Avalanche took their foot off or
the
took
game
their foot off the gas.
tying goal
They
was
didn't. They
the
were dead tired. Like,
yes.
I mean, you got to give Nashville a ton of credit for that possession there. It was just, I mean, everything was just looking like here comes a goal. They just did everything to, and the Avalanche could not get the puck out of the zone. At that point in time, who cares if you take an icing?
Yeah,
Who cares?
yeah.
And I think maybe you get a little bit too cute to get it out of the zone so you don't get that icing. Who cares?
Yeah.
At that point, when they are just swirling and you're on your heels, you get your stick on the puck, fire it down. You'll have a 30-second breather. Take a default on the face off to get another. Like, you have ways to catch your breath for at least a minute, and then win a face off and then see what happens. But I think we were just trying to get too cute throughout the game of when the Predators were keeping the puck in the zone, the Avalanche getting.
And you froze right there, but no, I completely agree. Like, it's one of those moments, like an icing still kills off that pressure that Nashville was mounting at that point.
Out of zone. Yeah,
Yeah, and we got you
there we
back,
go.
but no, that icing
Yeah.
would easily kill that momentum, and
Yep.
that's what ended up winning the game for Nashville. You don't have to get cute. You don't have to do a little trick pass to clear a line, you could just rock it. And hey, the
Well,
Avalanche are not good at faceoffs, so you can easily get kicked out of the dot.
right.
It's
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you could do, and honestly, take that game into overtime, and then you have a better chance. But to lose it that way, it's yeah, the zone transitions that you were talking about earlier,
Mhm.
that's it rears its ugly head at the end, and that eventually became its downfall.
So let's get into kind of individual players, some individual plays, things like that. But yeah, overall, it's just a loss that stings, just the way that it went down. And I don't feel like this was a game. Like I said, was it a perfect performance? Definitely not. But did they play well? Did they battle enough to win? Sure. And then things just went south, and you had a couple of mistakes.
Literally.
Yeah, right. And then, like I said, a couple mistakes, and Nashville pounced on them. So,
Yep.
all right, let's talk about more of this game. Like I said, kind of individual moments, and we'll do that next. Right now, we are going to hear from Game Time and the Game Time app, and you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event, because Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all of these sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you, with killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. A couple things that we love about the Game Time app: they have the last minute tickets and flash deals. They also have something called zone deals, where specific parts of the arena or wherever you want to see a show, they have deals for just those areas, which is super cool. And the one thing that Kyle and I always talk about is the view from your seats. Yes, other apps do that, but the way that Game Time does it, it's just like seamless. It's like scrolling through a social media where you can just see it right there. You don't have to go into the section and into the seat, and then it pops up. It's very well designed. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create the account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Game Time. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. Thank you for making the Locked On Avalanche podcast your first listen of the day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Pretty cool thing we got going on over there. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. So go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Continuing with this game, Abs, let's see. So the goals, you got a shorthanded goal. Andrew Cogliano, another goal, three games in a row where he's got a goal. What I really loved about that play was the calm factor of Val Nichushkin, because a lot of times on a power or a shorthanded power play, the team that's shorthanded, if they get an opportunity, it's quick, because they know they're not going to have a lot of time to cycle around and make passes. So if they get an opportunity, they fire it on net, and hope, good luck, right? But what Nichushkin did was he held on to the puck. There was a defender on the Preds who went to his stomach to try to knock, and he held on to it, skated around him, fired it on net. Rebound came to Cogliano, and he buries it. So I just thought that whole scenario was very well done by the Avs. And even though they were shorthanded, it wasn't panic mode. Let's get this thing on net, because if we don't, we got to get back on defense, which happens all the time when you're shorthanded.
And honestly, if the last 22 seconds of the game didn't happen, you probably just mentioned the 3 stars of the game. It would be Nichushkin. He looked really good.
Again.
And again, yes, off the heels of the Dallas game, he's looking good, finding his stride. And when he's able to slow down, that means he can see and feel the game, and he's not playing cerebral. He's feeling it. So that's a really positive. And Cogs, wow, what a resurgence. Like this is what you want to see. It's one of those guys you can rally around. You love the reaction that the team has around him. But yeah, it would have been a Nuke, Cogs, and then Cale Makar still being consistent. But that's your top
Yeah.
three until the end of the game.
Yeah, Makar with another 3 assists game. He was the number 1 star of the league for last week, and he continues that. But those 3 assists came in the first 2 periods.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to have another one in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And that goes for the whole team, right? It would have been nice to have a point somewhere in that last period. I thought Georgiev looked good for the most part. He was like Predators had some pretty good looks on him, and he was making some pretty good saves. There was I don't want to say a lot of traffic, but there was traffic in front of him. And the other one was a Forsberg shot. It's just good luck with that. I hate saying this, like he's one of my favorite players not on the Avalanche, and I hate saying that for someone that's in the division, but I used to dislike him so much, and then I've grown to really appreciate how that guy plays. I think he's one of the more underrated guys. We have the most underrated guy in the league in Mikko Rantanen, but I feel like he is in that realm. He's really, really good, and he crushes the Avs all the time.
Yeah, he's like a Blake Wheeler, like Kyle Connor,
Connor's a good one too. Yeah,
I love his play. I just hate when he plays the Avalanche.
Yeah. No, he's a killer. He's a killer. What we didn't mention, no Sammy G in this game. Josh Manson did come back, and Sam Girard did not play. I did not hear anything of an injury that he had. I know he was out like last week.
He was out for the Blues
practice.
game. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was out for the Blues game and came back for Dallas.
I don't know. I thought he was in that Blues game, but I remember him being out of practice because he was hurt for something. And let me see the Blues game. Here's the stats. He was in that game.
He was
in the but I think maybe after that game he tweaked something and didn't practice. So I don't know if it's a holdover from that or Bednar's been benching guys. Bednar's been healthy scratching guys. It happened with Tatar. It happened with Drouin. So is this that? I don't know. And we're, like I said, we're recording this minutes after the game. I'm sure he was asked that by somebody. So we'll see. But he didn't play. And I mean, I thought the defense looked okay. I'm not saying like they were hurting without him, but
that's the last thing this team needs right now is a meltdown like this, and then to find out that Sammy G was a healthy scratch. There's not a keyboard in Avalanche fandom that will survive this with the elation of Sammy G getting healthy scratched. The scapegoat, leave my boy alone.
So, let's see. So Jared Bednar was asked, and Bednar said he missed the game for, quote, personal reasons. So this was not play related. So maybe it's family related issue. We don't know. So there's your answer. It was not play related.
All right, good.
Yeah,
because we're talking about Cogs and Nichushkin finding their form. I thought Sammy G has been looking pretty good. Like Girard
he's fine.
Yeah,
I know he's the lightning rod for fans with that dislike him. And hockey is very easy to find something that somebody does wrong at some point in the game. If someone doesn't like Cale Makar, well, this game would be very easy to find something that Cale Makar did wrong. But you could find something somewhere throughout the game. Cale Makar did something wrong. That's just the way that this sport is played. And it's really easy to do that for the people that have a genuine hatred for Sam Girard. He had a bad season a couple seasons ago. You can't deny that. And the people who have latched onto that have not let go of it. And I think you need to loosen that grip a little bit. You have to. Like he's not as bad as I'm not saying you, the people who have turned on him want to make it out to be. He makes mistakes just like everybody else on the ice makes mistakes, but we want to blow it up when he does it.
But we will never mention the fact that Nathan MacKinnon hasn't had a goal in the last 5 games.
No, I mean, and that's not good. He's a goal scorer.
Yeah.
He's got it. It's got to happen.
Yeah.
We can't. Yeah, you're right. We can't just explain that away,
or just not mention it at all. You can't.
No.
You cannot heap on Sam Girard a $5 million defenseman when your top paid NHL player, the face of the franchise, he's on every poster, billboard, he's on Trailer Park Boys, but he's not scoring goals. So something has to change. And I mean, guess what? At games like this, when Cale Makar makes a mistake that everybody could jump on, guess what? A goal from the guy that we pay goal to like score goals sure would have been great.
Right. That's what you like. This is when you needed to get that extra goal. Find a way to get that extra goal. And you know, for whatever reason, you know, Nathan MacKinnon is hitting a little bit of a scoring drought right now. And yes, 5 games for someone like him is a scoring drought. So you look to guys like him to kind of take over. Val Nichushkin, like he is taking over right now. He's taking over games. And you're getting that Cale Makar shot from the point and, you know, him tipping it in. And that's, you know, I got it up there on, if you're watching on YouTube, what is going on with this power play, Kyle? It's horrible. It is horrible. I was just singing the praises of the Avalanche and how, like, yeah, they played well enough to win. And, you know, we can't dwell on this loss for too long. It's a freakish way to lose. Avs battled. It's complete opposite for the power play. This power play is disgusting.
They look better even strength.
100% even strength. I would almost say, like, can we decline this power play and just stay 5-on-5 right now? It's terrible.
It goes back to your point earlier where you're not taking an icing when you clearly feel momentum just pressuring you to where that goal's going to break. I think this team is getting just too cute in those moments. There's a fine line in confident and cute, and this team is dancing in the cute. They can
but
just
they can't
score
even get
a goal
into the zone.
Exactly.
Why are you doing anything cute? I'm not seeing anything cute, like trying to bring it into the zone. The cuteness happens when they do get it into the zone, which rarely happens right now.
Triple slingshot pass, I think, might. We've done the single, we've done the double. Let's go.
The Predators are the 30th worst team on the penalty kill. And you made them look like they were top 5. You could not bring the puck into the zone. You're fumbling the puck in the neutral zone. You're fumbling the puck in the defensive zone, in your own defensive zone when you're trying to collect. Bo Byram just whiffed on it. There is something going on with this power play that just makes me want to grow hair to rip it out because it's horrible right now. It's ugly. Everything about it is ugly. It's a miracle they got one.
And this is where you honestly have to take it all the way down to the basics and just work your way back. Like, no more being cute. Like the slingshots, let's get rid of that. Let's just go back to junior hockey and work a basic power play. Once you get that right, add a wrinkle. I think this team, the core has been together long enough that you introduce guys like Ryan Johansson, Miles Wood, Ross Colton, and Drew N. You introduce these new faces on a long change on the power play, and there's so many wrinkles already introduced from successful power plays of the past that it's just so convoluted that nobody understands what's going on, and you forget you have the advantage because you're in your own way.
It's got to get fixed. There's obviously things that needs to get fixed, and I think the Avalanche overall are doing okay. You know, they're where they are in the standings. But even for teams that are above them, like Dallas needs to fix things. Vegas everybody needs to fix something. There's nobody that goes throughout an entire season where everything's just clicking all the time. And right now it is that power play. Man, if you could have got another one, how much difference would that have made? Clearly a lot. So yeah, that's got to get worked on some more. All right, we got a sound check to get to and a couple comments over on the subtext, which we will get to next. Right now, we have eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience. It's what brings home the winning trophy and is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, and LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into an MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Thanks again for making Locked On Avalanche your number one listen of the day, or your first listen of the day, I should say. That is always appreciated. A couple more things to get to before we call it a day here, and that's our people over on Subtext. All right, let me see. We had just a couple people chimed in. This is from Tanya. She says, I keep checking the standings and being surprised that we are where we are, because it sure does not feel like the Avs this year. I feel like I'm watching a ping pong game of the Avs playing ability. Bad, good, bad, good. Where's the consistency? I'm definitely frustrated, bordering on irritated. That bad, but it sure feels like it. That's raw emotion, like right after the game. That's what that is.
And you know what? I think that's the Avalanche are consistent at not being consistent.
I mean, I guess so. If you want to take like the entire season as a whole right now, sure. I kind of take things into like chunks and like, how are they playing as of late? How are they playing recently? And as recently, I say like the last 4 games, ever since that, St. Louis game. I think, and they're playing better. They're playing good. They played well enough to win this game. Come on. They did. And it's just a freakish thing that they lost it.
And it's wonderful that you could like bookmark Avalanche this campaign. If you want to go back to the Blues game, when it comes to, well, they've been better, but they also had that Dallas game that like you could bookmark that. Like, you could go back the Vegas game. They got embarrassed. That team did not belong on the ice. Like, there are so many wonderful examples that we've probably just got to the quarter mark of the season. It's wonderful.
It's crazy. This is from Easton. Said that choke gave me flashbacks to Game 7 last year. Like, did that just happen? You had to bring that up, Easton, didn't you?
Thanks, Easton.
Yeah. And I do want to give a shout out to Vargar here, who is, like super Avs fan. He didn't get to watch the game because he had to put his St. Bernard down. Dog's name was Kaya. Sweetest dog you ever met. And that's the worst thing that, humans can do, is say goodbye to their number one companion. So we hope you're doing okay today, Vargar. That is definitely, it's never an easy decision to make. So I'm sure you had to think about it long and hard, but you probably made the right decision. And I think, yes, she's in a better place right now.
Good vibes with you, brother.
Yeah, man. All right. Last thing that we are going to get to, that is our Locked On Avalanche sound check. And this is where Kyle and I pick one song that we feel best summarizes the most recent game. And these songs go up on a playlist over on Spotify. Just search for LOA Soundcheck Volume 3 and follow along whenever a new song gets added. What do you got for this one, sir?
My conscience meets decline into reality. We're the end of this song.
We're like, I feel a poem coming on here.
Yeah, from the wise poet Sum 41.
Oh yes, yeah.
This is clearly all messed up from Sum 41. Summarizes this game. Yeah. That's like, it was a good effort. Like we said all throughout the show. They did everything they needed to do to win, but then you get gassed, let tie it up, and then all messed up,
Mhm.
lose the game, and it's all the emotions we had coming out of Dallas, all messed up. You're back
Yeah.
to figuring out where this team sits, and
It's
bring on Vancouver.
yeah. That's another thing too, man. Like I saw some people concerned that not that this was a trap game, but are the Avs looking ahead to Vancouver, which is always, I guess, a possibility. And I didn't feel that way. I felt like they were in the moment. They were playing their game, and we were less than a minute away from leaving there with 2 points.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't feel like it was it didn't look like they weren't playing like it was a trap style of game. But for me, I went, you're focusing in on the last series events. Are you not? You have to
Yeah.
be for this game. So, like we said earlier, that is not something that happens often. It's not something that happens to Cale Makar, where the puck just jumps off his stick like that. He said he's probably made that move however many times throughout the course of his life, and this time it just bounced off his puck or bounced off his stick, and then we saw what happened. There's luck involved here, and I think if you're a Nashville fan, if you're not saying that, you're kidding yourself. It was a bad play, a mistake. But there is definitely some luck that comes with winning a game like the Nashville Predators just won. And that is why I'm going with fantastic band from my youth, Garbage.
Mm.
And the song's called A Stroke of Luck. Fantastic song off of their first self-titled debut album. I just saw them over the summer too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That
Still
was a
kicking.
good show.
Still
Yeah.
kicking, man. Awesome. Good stuff. So that's what I'm going with. Because it is.
Yeah.
You had some luck. Good for you. You capitalized on that luck. But there's, you hear luck around the game of hockey more than any other sport. That's it.
It's just Avalanche fans are now sitting unsettled, don't know what's going on, and then we're going to wake up and find out the injury reports, what this is going to look like. We're just in a weird spot, and I wish the last 22 seconds didn't happen because it was an average game, and you would have walked out of there and been like, well, that's fine. At least we didn't lose, but you did, and you gave it away.
It's a good point. Like you wouldn't have walked out of the being like, puffing your chest out,
No.
like, oh, we dominate. Like you were in control of that game.
Yeah.
But you would have been like, hey, we got out of there with 2 points. Take that any day of the week.
We'd still be talking about the Dallas game.
I was just gonna say, like, how Dallas fans feel or felt, because they just beat the Rangers, so they're fine now. How they felt after the day after that game is what we're going through right now.
Yep.
So that's why you always have to have some humility, because I saw some comments getting thrown around towards Dallas Stars fans, which now it's coming back to bite you. You got to be careful about that stuff. So, all right, that's going to wrap it up for today. We will be back. I think we're going to do something different. We're going to be doing a post-game crossover. We usually do them before a game between two teams, but we might be doing one with the folks over at Locked On Predators tomorrow. We're trying to set that up. If not, it'll just be our wonderful faces and and we'll talk about Avs stuff. We'll do that anyway with those guys over at the Preds. Love those guys. So
yeah.
All right. One way or another, we will be back tomorrow. But for today, thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. And he is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I'm Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Take a breath. It stinks. It'll be okay. We'll see you guys tomorrow.